The Shift is brought to you by SE Healthcare. Welcome to The Shift. I'm Dr. Andrea Coyle. Welcome back, Shifties, to the next episode of the Shift podcast. I hope that you've had a great week since the last time we all got together. I'm really excited today. I have an incredible woman, someone that I admire. Met her at the University of Pennsylvania about a month ago. We made an instant connection, and she's here to join us. She's going to talk to us about the many shifts in her career and in her life and how she's remained positive. And I am thrilled to introduce Ellen Winkle to The Shift. And Ellen, if you'd be so kind to do an introduction to yourself and to all of our Shifties.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me on. Yes, I am Ellen Winkle. I am a nursing professional development specialist at Penn Medicine, Princeton Health in Princeton, New Jersey. I have been a nurse for 18 years. The majority of that time was spent in obstetrics nursing until 2019 when I transitioned to a nursing professional development specialist role. My first day on the job was when COVID peaked at my hospital. And my first day on the job, my first assignment was to go and support the staff of a unit that was about to find out they were going to be an all COVID unit and go help them redesign their model of care. Go. That was my first day.
So Ellen, we're going to talk about that because I'm sure you had to do a lot of shifting for that.
Oh, yes.
But you did share with me something that I found really interesting about your health and wellness journey. If you could just share with us a little bit about your health and wellness journey, because as nurses, and some people on this podcast that are listening, they're not necessarily nurses, but they are in some kind of healthcare role, and health and wellness is so important. So if you want to start off with your journey, we'd love to hear more.
Yeah, absolutely. Truly, health and wellness has been a compass in my entire life from the beginning. I can look back and see how it's influenced my life from the onset. I was a very overweight kid. At the age of 13, I weighed 180 pounds. That number on the scale, I remember the day. This is it. I can't do this anymore. The bullying that comes with it, the stigma, the low self-esteem. I had to do something about it. And this is before there was all kinds of support out there for it. So it was good old-fashioned diet and exercise, and doing it singularly. It wasn't something all of my family was doing, but it came with a lot of discipline and commitment to getting healthy personally and learning to do it the right way. And I managed to lose 40 pounds over the course of my teenage years. And the emotional and mental transformation, I wasn't prepared for. I assumed you'd get healthy physically. I wasn't prepared for the way it was going to restructure the way I think and the things I prioritize in my life.
Can I stop you there?
Yes.
How did you, Ellen, this is where I think you're going. I think at a young age, you start to prioritize you, which is something that many nurses do not do.
Yes. Yeah. I had to. I had the mindset at the time, healthy or not, that losing the weight and keeping it off was something I was going to have to always fight for. And so it meant always making sure that all that hard work I had put into losing weight and getting healthy I would never let it slip. I had to keep working at it. So that meant prioritizing exercise and being purposeful about trying to eat healthy when I could. I didn't know then how little I knew about what being healthy was. I had a lot of learning to do, but from my vantage point then still, it was priority. And then going away to college and not wanting to gain the freshman 15. And so making sure that I wasn't running amok when I got to college and still trying to exercise. It actually was such a priority that it led me to I went into school for sports medicine because I valued the exercise science and the value of staying healthy and physically fit and helping other people get healthy and stay physically fit. And then halfway through school, I kind of just had this epiphany that what I really liked was taking care of people. Health and wellness was part of it, but I really liked the nurturing side of it. And okay, what job does that? I had no idea. Ran into a roommate's room and said, guys, what job takes care of people? And they looked at me like I was crazy. And they were like, nursing? And a light bulb went off. Like I had never even considered nursing before. I'm like, yes, that's that's the best of both worlds. That's physical health and it's taking care of their mind, body, and spirit. Yes, I need to be a nurse. And finished school in nursing, never looked back. It was the greatest decision I ever made. Um, and went into OB nursing right out of it because I knew that that's where my heart was taking care of mom as given birth. Um,
Wow, that's a
yeah.
really good story, Ellen. And just real quick before we kind of shift to a
Yep.
different topic, can you give our listeners a couple of ideas of some health and wellness tips? Because I always like the listeners to go away with a little nugget, a little bit of knowledge. So even the Ellen today, the
Hmm.
Ellen back in the day when you were trying to stay healthy and didn't want to gain the freshman 15, what are some healthy, easy tips that you can give our listeners?
Yep. I think the three I always try to share with people is plan as much as you can. And not everybody loves to plan ahead, but anticipating where you're going out. If you're going out to eat, can I think about the healthiest thing I can get on the menu? Or for my current shift workers, what's your schedule look like? Is there a day where you can make some meals ahead of time, or plan and schedule your self-care, your workouts, whatever that's going to look like? The other thing I promote is making easy swaps. If you're eating something and you love this food, can you tweak it a little bit to make it 1% healthier, 10% healthier? Just those little swaps. It doesn't have to be everything all at once. And that's probably the biggest tip. Start small, make one small change, make it a habit. And when it's a habit, ready for the second small change and keep going.
Okay, so I have a question, Ellen. My guilty pleasure are French fries. How can I
Mhm.
make a French fry healthy?
You can't, but you can eat it in moderation, and then you have a healthy relationship with eating your French fries, right? I don't want you to beat yourself up over eating French fries. Um, but can you get a smaller portion of French fries? Um, and then balance it with a little more of a healthy main dish to your
Okay,
side dish.
I like it. That's really good. So then, Ellen, we go into your nursing career. You're
Yep.
in OB,
Yep.
and then you shared with me you had your son.
Yes.
Talk about that journey and
Sure.
how there were some shifts along the way with that as well.
There sure were. So my son was as a New Year's Day baby in 2008, and everything was great. Everything was great. He's growing up. He's doing okay for all the first mom things, right, that come along with that. And then when he was 5, he was diagnosed with autism, high functioning, but autism. And honestly, as a new mom, first mom, I was really afraid of autism as a diagnosis. We were hearing a lot about it. And it was one of the things we actually very quickly dismissed because he didn't have any of the real big red flags when he was smaller. But sure enough, he had autism. Um, and that was a whole hurdle to get through, but we were getting through it. But as he was getting older, we learned the hard way that anxiety and depression are very common diagnoses that come along with an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis. And when he was just 10, our son tried to take his own life um, by strangling himself, or trying to. Thankfully, it was with a 10-year-old's capabilities and not somebody bigger and stronger. But he had to be committed. Committed, it's an old term. He was inpatient for a little while. And I don't know that I can express how hard that was. Driving away from the facility we had to leave my 10-year-old baby at was the hardest thing in the world. And what I remember doing with the wave of anxiety that I was feeling, and the fear and the anger and the panic, um, was burpees. We were living in a waiting room of a crisis center until he could find placement for 3 days. They wouldn't let us go home because he was critical, but we had no placement. So we were living in a waiting room. And what prevented me from going literally crazy was physical strength. I learned in the couple of years before that, as I've been getting healthier and more physically active, that my physical strength supports my mental strength. My mental strength supports my physical strength. Doing hard things in the gym on a daily basis reminds you that you are capable of doing hard things, and you show up to do them even though you know they're hard. And that lesson that I learned in the gym is what kept me going and saying, this is the hardest thing you're probably ever going to go through as a mom, but you're capable and you're going to get through it. And so I would do, instead of self-destructing, those self-medicating behaviors that we sometimes use to cope with, I dialed in my physical fitness and nutrition even more. I have to take care of myself because I have to take care of my son.
The Shift is brought to you by SE Healthcare. Is burnout costing your organization its best nurses? How do you know? SE Healthcare can help. Our evidence-based approach helps nurse leaders boost retention, enhance job satisfaction, and bring joy back into our great profession. In addition, it helps elevate quality patient care, because when the people taking care of the people are at their best, patients get the care they deserve. We can reduce burnout by an impressive 50%. Are you ready to uncover burnout's impact on your team? Visit sehealthcaresolutions.com this shift for your free assessment today. I really love what you're saying, Ellen, and I think as people in healthcare, inherently we like to give and take care of everyone else, and we often don't take care of ourselves. And I've been on a journey for many, many years as well. And even to this day, I exercise every day, because if I feel better physically, I feel better mentally.
Absolutely.
And when I do that walk in the morning, or the bike ride in the morning, or the yoga in the morning, that gives me really time to be present with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives me time, and I'm not a big planner, but I'm a little bit of a planner. It gives me time to plan my day, and then also really it gives me time to be grateful for all of life's little pleasures. And it helps me be very grounded for the day. And so with that comes physical, mental well-being, spiritual well-being. It just keeps paying itself forward.
Yes.
And I think it's just a good place to be. And as a nurse, and you're a nurse, I think these are messages that are really important for new nurses, student nurses, nurses with 30 years of experience, because we can really get burned out on taking care of everybody else and not ourselves.
Yep. When we got his anxiety and depression diagnosis, I knew as a nurse that this was a lifelong thing we would be working through, that this wasn't a one and done, we'll fix it and it goes away. And sometimes it's harder than other times. He has good seasons and bad seasons. We have good seasons and bad seasons as a family, and it sometimes gets overwhelming. But that time when I'm in the gym or I'm running, and my music is on, is 1 hour or whatever I can get, where nothing else but what I'm physically doing right now is in my head. And that mental space is so rejuvenating. I leave there going, okay, what do you got, life? Throw it at me. I can handle it. I just did something hard in the gym, therefore I can do something hard somewhere else too. It has just been such a literal lifesaver for me as a mom to cope with our son's challenges and to help me make sure I bring my best self to him when he needs it.
I like that, to bring your best self, because that's really what we want to do. That's what we aspire to do every day. Let's talk a little bit about PERMA.
Okay.
Because we both had that common interest in PERMA.
Yeah.
And PERMA is an acronym for positive emotions, engagement. The R is for, help me out, recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, PER. M is for meaning or meaningful. And then the A is for accomplishment or achievement.
Mm-hmm.
And has the PERMA framework helped you along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially the positivity piece of it. Um, I I know and I understand that our brains can kind of go one of two ways. We can, and unfortunately, it's human nature to often dwell on the negative. It's a protective, right, mechanism. We have to be aware of all the bad things around us, but it can keep your head locked in that lane and just mire you down if you don't spend time, like you said, appreciating those small things. And so I do actually, even to this day, I do positive priming. Every morning I have post-it notes in my car and on my bathroom mirror that say 5 things. And that's what it says. And it's my reminder that every day I start by identifying 5 things to be thankful for. Sometimes I got to dig. Sometimes it's superficial. Sometimes it's something huge. But it's a discipline and a reminder that there are always things that we need to be thankful for. And I add to that list all day. I'd love to get to the end of the day and the list be way more than 5 things.
Mm-hmm. I love
Yeah.
that. So I like what you said, priming positive. Is that what you said?
Positive priming.
Positive priming. I
Yep.
love it. Positive priming. I'm going to take that away.
Yep.
I mentioned in my presentation when I came to Penn Medicine last month that before I go to bed every night, I always do a gratitude vow,
Yes.
3 things that I'm grateful for the day. And, I mentioned I'm always grateful for my health, the health of my friends and my family. I'm really grateful that I know from who my Almighty is, because we all have our own Almighty, that I am crystal clear what my assignment is. And my assignment is to make a difference in the lives I touch every day. And I work hard on that. And the other thing I'm grateful for, I'm always grateful for the opportunity to meet new people. Like meeting you was such an opportunity, and
Yes.
being able to do this podcast with all these shifties. Those are the things I'm grateful for. And that gratitude vow is positive priming.
Yes, it is. And I do it at the start of my day because I recognize that sometimes driving into work, like the stress is already there. I'm already coming into work a little snarky, a little jaded.
Mhm.
No more. We got to start in the positive lane. And I kind of taught my kids, I'm like, think of it like a number line. Things are going to pull you into the negatives throughout the day. The further into the positive you were when you started, the further from the negative you end up, no matter how many things come at you that day. So I start my day with it and just want to keep adding to that list as much as I can.
So it sounds like I'm kind of going to summarize what I've heard you say, because I have to put it back in the context of the shift.
Mm-hmm.
You had one shift in your life when you got on that scale, and that scale said 180 pounds.
Yeah.
And that was a life shift.
Yep.
Behaviors, actions, big shift. And then your son getting the diagnosis was a shift. And then when, he had a difficult time, that was another shift.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you feel like as nurses, we shift almost every day? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what we do. We just keep shifting. So
Mm-hmm.
from a career perspective, let's just say the last 2 years, tell us a little bit about some big shifts that you made in your career that have made a positive impact.
So the interesting, the struggles we had with my son, especially as he got older, were part of the reason I ended up choosing to leave the bedside. I needed something where I could really have a little more consistent schedule, and wanting to grow a little bit led me to get my master's, and I taking this professional development role. In this NPD role, I started to get exposed to nurses all over the hospital, the work that's going on, the struggles our nurses are feeling. The role and my work took me into literature and research and what's out there, and beginning to hear a lot of bubbling up concern post-COVID about nurse well-being and what struggles we were having, and shocked to find out how unhealthy the nursing workforce is, mind, body, and spirit, unfortunately. And suddenly realized, much like you, oh my gosh, I know what my assignment is. And it was shockingly full circle for me. Ellen, you can take your own wellness journey and everything you've been through as a nurse, and now you're in a position where you need to be emphasizing the importance of wellness for your nursing workforce. Take care of your work family. They need this too. You have a passion for it. And you're in a position now where you can help more than a few people. And this is your path forward. You have to. It was like, I can't sleep. Like, I woke up thinking about this on a regular basis. And so that is my professional shift now, is really a deeply rooted passion for clinician well-being holistically, and what we can do for them while they're at work about it, because that's where they're spending all their time.
That's right. That's really, really well said. You know what, Ellen, I'd love to invite you to come back for another episode of the podcast. Would you be interested?
100%.
So next time we'll have you come back and maybe we can dig a little deeper into PERMA. We talked about positive emotion, but when you come back, let's talk about the E. Let's talk about engagement. And maybe we'll talk about the E and the R, but next time you come back, let's dig a little deeper into PERMA, because I think our shifties would be it's pretty mind-blowing how it can really shift your life and your mindset.
Yeah. I would love that.
Wonderful.
Love that.
So what we typically do is we share with everyone who's listening 3 big lessons learned, or three big nuggets that we want to give to our listeners. So what would they be? What are you thinking?
Wow. Biggest nugget is you cannot pour from an empty cup. You absolutely must find ways to take care of yourself. That might be different for everyone, what that looks like, but identify what will make you feel taken care of, and do that for yourself. Set it aside and make it a priority. Start working on it. It is a discipline. You do have to schedule it in, because we do put ourselves last. Oh,
I kind of put you on the spot.
You sure did.
But while you're thinking, Ellen, I want to say something. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm so grateful that we met, and having these conversations and sharing some like-mindedness, if that's a word, that fills my cup. So thank you for saying that. That fills my cup.
Likewise. We talked about positive priming. I heard people talk about, gratitude journaling and being thankful. Heard it. And I realized that as work stress was weighing me down and I was starting to feel negative about a lot of stuff, then you know what? It's worth a shot. It doesn't cost anything to try this. And there's so much literature on it. So, okay, fine. It really, really does make a difference. Little ways, but it will literally change your mindset. So the next big nugget is, don't sleep on the power of positivity. And try it. Start with one day, make some gratitude, stack on it the next day, and watch it grow.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. What about this as a nugget? Do you have any 1 or 2 good books that you would recommend?
I have to be honest, I'm not a big reader. It's a terrible trait of mine. I will say, you gave out a book at the workshop.
Compassionomics?
Yes. I have it on my nightstand. We're leaving for vacation next week, and I am excited to start it.
Wonderful.
I'm excited to start it.
So Compassionomics is a great book, and I believe one of the authors, they're from the New Jersey area. I think they're both from the New Jersey area.
You were saying that. We were kind of looking at each other with a little bit of pride at our table. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's some Jersey love in there.
That's right. Because self-compassion, man, again, you can't give it away if you don't have it.
That's right. That's right. Well, let me tell you, Ellen, it's been a pleasure having you here today. I love learning about your great career and all these great shifts that you made, both personally and professionally. And I know I'm speaking for myself, but I'm sure all the shifties would agree. We can't wait to have you come back. And I'm grateful for you. I am inspired by what you do and what you have to say. So thank you.
Thank you.
And what I say at the end of every episode is, shifties, remember, your shift makes a difference. Enjoying the shift? Help us reach more nurse leaders by rating and reviewing us on your podcast app. It takes just a minute, but makes a big impact. Search for The Shift, tap those stars, and share what you love. Your feedback shapes our future episodes and helps others discover us. Remember, rate, review, and amplify the shift today.